Galnet News, your galaxy in focus, 18th of January, 3301. In today's news, the Emperor is in a coma. The Dukes of Mekun make major progress in HR 7327. Onion Head has been wiped out, according to the Federal Navy, and an economic boom in LHS 3447. Plus, can regulated slavery work? We talked to an Imperial slaver who says it can. Our top story today, the Emperor is in a coma. Senator Anders Blaine, Chancellor to Emperor Hengist Duval, has made a statement on the steps of the Imperial Palace. It is with regret I have to announce that His Grace, Emperor Hengist Duval's sickness has worsened, and he has fallen into a coma. His life is not in danger. He is stable, and his doctors are hopeful of a recovery. In the meantime, I will of course continue in my role as Chancellor, and the Empire will continue to run under my day-to-day control, as it has done for the past decades, so nothing will change. Rumours from anonymous Imperial staff are that Emperor Hengist is on a life support machine and perhaps unlikely to recover. Shares in Imperial corporations have continued to fall on the news. The Emperor's current condition will surely call off his planned wedding to Florence Lavini, which was due to take place on the 22nd of January. Preparations had already begun in Capitol in the Imperial home system of Ashenar. This latest news will bring the question of Imperial succession forward more than ever, and without the marriage taking place, it will leave Arissa Lavini, daughter of the would-be bride, out of the running. Some major news concerning the Dukes of Mekun now, a formerly Imperial faction who broke away from the Empire some time ago, and have made major progress in the neighbouring HR 7327 system since our last update. Their influence now stands at 28% compared with just 9% previously. The Dukes, who have a large backing from independent commanders, have managed to seize over a quarter of the influence in HR 7327 without a conflict, but civil unrest now strikes HR 7327 Dynamic Commodities, the major influence holder in the system, along with an influence majority of just 33%, only 5 percentage points ahead of the Dukes. The Dukes of Mekun, whose home system has a population of just 1,200, will no doubt be looking to seize overall majority in HR 7327 with its 33 million inhabitants, which will give them much greater control over the sector and put more resources at their disposal. In Federation news, Onion Head has now apparently been wiped out. Admiral Vincent, the Federal Admiral of the Fleet, has announced that the Federal Navy has now practically eliminated the narcotic Onion Head from Panem in Kappa Fornacis. He said, "Our systematic destruction of the crop has now paid off, and I am pleased to say we have destroyed all the crops without loss of a single life since the unfortunate incident a few weeks ago." Despite continued pockets of resistance, the Admiral also announced a civic aid package to help rebuild the farms to produce less controversial crops, a move that has earned praise from commentators for its political shrewdness. In a follow-up statement, an aide requested that the independent pilots provide agri-medicines, crop harvesters, land enrichment systems and biowaste to meet the increased demand generated by the package. While the official status of Onion Head as a commodity unique to Kappa Fornacis might well be over, the sudden increased demand for other aid package commodities will be a welcome sight for traders looking to profit in the region. The Federation has made no comment about how long capital ships will remain in Kappa Fornacis and how complete the destruction of the narcotic is, although Admiral Vincent's statement referred to all the crops, which would indicate the worst for the Farmers' Union and their leader, Giorgio Algeria. Algeria has not come forward with a statement at this time. In the Federation today, the Future of LHS 3447 party are celebrating an economic boom in their system. They have announced that they will share that good fortune as part of their future development initiatives. A spokesman from the party said, "The success of LHS 3447 is in large part due to the numbers of independent pilots who pass through and trade in this system. In fact, Trevithick Dock is known for being the starting point for many pilots' careers. In recognition of this, we are subsidizing a 10% discount for all pilots using the shipyards and outfitting facilities in Trevithick Dock, Dalton Gateway, and Whirlage Terminal." Dalton Gateway has confirmed its stock of Lakon Asp Explorers, which are discounted to just under 6 million credits, Federal dropships at 34 million credits, the Zorgon Peterson Hauler, and Lakon's freighters, the Type 7 and Type 9. Pilots are reminded that they must carry a Federal naval rank of Ensign or higher to purchase the Federal dropship. Whirlage Terminal has confirmed its stock of the Falcon de Lacy Cobra Mark III, the Zorgon Peterson Adder, the Core Dynamics Eagle Mark II, as well as the Lakon Type 6 freighter. Yaping Enterprise is not under the jurisdiction of the Future of LHS 3447 party and is therefore not offering any discounts. Slavery has been a hot topic in the news recently, both inside and outside the Empire, but rarely does a member of a pro-slavery group come forward to share his views. Today's an exception, as Commander Cosmonut sat down to talk about the genuine benefits of the legalized slave trade. So, what's your background?
Well, I was born back in our system. My father was a slaver and his father before him, and so on and so forth. So, around 15, 16, my father decided to get me into the slave trade, and ever since I've been a slaver.
So what are slaves to you? Do you see them as people, or are they something different?
Well, you have to be specific about what slave you're talking about here. There's an imperial slave and an actual slave. Imperial slaves are citizens just like you and I. They're normal, everyday workers. But for some unforeseen turn of events, they've fallen in debt and they can't pay it back. So they decided to sign a contract with someone to pay off that debt. They're normal human beings. Slaves, on the other hand, not imperial slaves, I see them as people as well, but they are oppressed people. They have not signed anything, no legal contracts, and they're held against their will. They're people.
So what you're saying is that you approve of the way that the Empire handles slavery, but not the illegal slavery in the Federation?
Of course. Imperial slavery is totally legal, and it's a humane way of treating slaves. Whereas federal slavery is completely illegal. It oppresses those who are, how to say this, being exploited by slavers, corporations, and various other organizations. If federal space had regulations and such, like the Empire does, then federal slavery isn't much of a problem. But it is right now.
And why do you think that the slaves rebelled first in Sorbago and then in Onkuma?
Honestly speaking, I think there weren't just imperial slaves there. There were actual slaves, illegal slaves, and that's why they revolted, because imperial slaves would never revolt. Their families in danger if they revolt. They have no means of paying off their debt, therefore there's no reason to revolt. Whereas slaves, on the other hand, they want their freedom. So I think there's something illegal going on over there.
So we've heard in the news reports that there are rumors that the Federation might be behind some of the troubles in the slave rebellions. Is this your way of saying that you support that view?
I need some clarification on what do I support.
The idea that the slave rebellions were actually caused by some operatives within the Federation, perhaps by putting some illegal slaves in there to incite a rebellion, or perhaps some more sinister means.
I believe that is the case, because there's no other ways of obtaining slaves around that area, Sorbago and Onkuma. So there had to be some outside force. And the big target is the federal spies.
Now, if you were a slave, would you see the system as unfair?
Not at all. If I was an imperial slave, I wouldn't see it as unfair. Illegal slaves, obviously, yes.
And how would you escape from the imperial slavery system to become a free individual?
If, and this is a big hypothetical, I just pay my way out. That's simple. That's how you get out of imperial slavery, and that's how most people do it. They just pay their way out, and freedom is right there. There's no other way to do it that won't risk your family and your friends.
And do you think that the Empire needs slavery in order to be a power in the galaxy? Could it survive without it?
I do think imperial slavery is needed. It can't survive without it, mainly due to the fact that there will be a lot of unemployed workers, and when you have unemployed workers, your production falls. With production falls, less capital, less power. They say money is power. If you have less money, less power. Throughout humanity, we've experienced a lot of unemployment, but with imperial slavery, that's fixed the problem because not only can you pay off your debts, you have a job. Jobs create other jobs, etc.
And if slavery were abolished across the galaxy, would you fight to maintain your way of life, or would you just look to something else to do?
That's a tough one. I tried to find something else. If it's illegal, both Empire and Federal space, I won't conduct in it. I'm only doing it because I see the humanity aspect in imperial slavery. It's people willingly accepting to choose this lifestyle. If it becomes legal, then those people aren't going into those lifestyles, and that's when I stop.
Commander Cosmonut, thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
And that's the Galnet news for today. Tune in next time to keep your galaxy in focus.